Roxo Media House.
From the Flying T Studio at Roxo Media House, this is Frogs Today, featuring head baseball coach Kirk Saarloos, Block T Association Director John Denton, plus Caitlyn Macnab from TCU Women's Golf. And now here's your host of Frogs Today, the voice of the Frogs, Brian Estridge.
Thursday edition of Frogs Today, coming to you live here from Lupton Stadium, commonly known as the house of Jay Carrietta built. One reason we bring that up is he and both Brian Holiday going into the TCU Hall of Fame a little bit later on. John Denton's going to join us. We'll get an update from the Hall of Fame as to what's going to be taking place later on tonight. We're going to catch up with one of our TCU women's golfers who had a great weekend, by the way. Set a school record. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But first, Kirk Saarloos, the head baseball coach, joins us. A weekend of practice. Hard to believe already. You guys are a weekend of workouts, aren't you?
Yep, started last week Tuesday, well, officially Wednesday, but last week Tuesday with practice. So we've got about 4 or 5 practices under our belt, some scrimmages. So as you can hear, the gloves popping behind us. You know, really they're getting after it most days, whether we're down on the field or they're doing stuff on their own.
And a lot of new faces too, especially coming out of the bullpen, starters as well from the pitching staff. Give us some sense as to what that rebuild is like for you right now.
It's interesting. Yeah. You know, you bring in, I don't know what the number officially is, 22 or 23 new bodies. And so the roster turnover is quite large. So, you know, a lot of times you're trying to figure out in inter-squad games what you have. And so there's been some really great stuff. There's been some stuff that we need to clean up. But I think it's a really fun group of guys that really bonded over the summer. This is the first time we were able to bring our freshmen or our new players in during summer because COVID kind of shut that down for 2 years. So we've seen huge growth in them being acclimated sooner and quicker, both in the weight room and as student athletes. So just because of that summer school session. So I'm excited to see where this group can go.
I'm not real good at math, but one of the things I was looking at today was it feels like about 80% of your innings are going to be different now from what you saw last year. There's a leadership void that comes with that as well. How do you replace that? And not just from your pitchers, but also you got leadership that left from position players as well.
Yeah, every year. Baseball is an interesting sport because, you know, you have guys coming and going a lot. And so with our position players, though, we feel really good about the nucleus of guys that we have back that have been through the battles and have some leadership qualities. I think the pitching staff, you know, you've lost quite a bit, like you stated. But the exciting thing is you have people that continue to mature and progress. That, you know, that sophomore class that are now juniors. You know, the Luke Savages and Cam Browns and guys like that. You know, Luke's story everybody knows. You know, you don't get much better as a human being than Luke. And Cam Brown was a 4.0 student last year and super talented on the field. So, you know, the really neat thing is we have, like I said, a freshman class that we feel we're really excited about that has a lot of those qualities in terms of both position and pitchers that I think set us up for a really good run over the next, you know, 3 to 4 years just because of that nucleus. It's a big class because we needed it, but at the same time, they're just as awesome off the field and their leadership qualities are off the charts. So looking forward to seeing that blend of older guys and newer guys and seeing where it takes us.
Give me some sense too when you think about newer guys in this day and age. You get 3 transfers from guys inside the Big 12.
Yeah.
You never used to hear that. but they know a little bit about you. You know a little bit about them. That's got to be a bit of an advantage.
Absolutely. It's when we recruit those guys, they've been here, they played here. You know, Trey played here when he was at Baylor. You know, Austin Davis played when he was at West Virginia, and same thing with Ryan Vanderhei. So they know Fort Worth. They know what a special place this is, and each one of them said, you know, we really want to. I'm really excited to join TCU baseball because winning's important, and they've seen us win a bunch, and so they really want to be a part of it. And they're going to play huge roles on our club. You know, we couldn't get Trey out when he was at Baylor.
Right.
Austin, you know, single-handedly with his legs probably won a weekend series when he was with West Virginia. You know, and then Ryan kept us off balance and was really the best starter for them and one of the best starters in our conference. So anytime that you can get better and then also weaken your conference opponent, I think it's a double whammy.
You put together a pretty challenging schedule too. You just look at the non-conference. You got Florida State here for a series. You're playing at Globe Life. You're playing down at Houston at Minute Maid. Fullerton's here as well, right? I mean, that's a daunting task.
Yeah, it's fun. I think what we're trying to do is get some outside opponents that TCU fans aren't used to seeing here at Lupton.
Yeah.
You know, last year we had Army, which I thought was a lot of fun. Bringing Florida State back here after we played them there. You know, my alma mater, Cal State Fullerton. You know, we played, I think the last time we played them was back in 2013, if I remember right. So, you know, just some programs that have a long history of tradition and winning, and then also anytime that you can go play in a big league ballpark with the Rangers ballpark and then the Astros, and great tournaments with great opponents. You know, I think we kick off the season with Vanderbilt, Arkansas, and Missouri, I think. So it's one way to jumpstart it, get going, see where we stand.
Yeah, here in the fall too, you're going to get to play those Rangers prospects. I know at Globe Life, that's a big deal. You want to continue, right?
Absolutely. The Rangers have been phenomenal in terms of, you know, their hospitality for us. You know, I think every single year we've played inside of Globe Life, and you know, with the storms that we had the last 2 years with some snow and ice, we can't play out here. They invite us over there, and they've done that for not just us, but Texas Tech, Oklahoma. You know, a lot of the Big 12 and local schools have a chance to go in there and play a bunch. You know, they invite high school teams and games in there. It seems like there's games every single day of the week, you know, once February rolls around. And I think that says a lot in terms of their ownership group and what they think about baseball in terms of trying to bring as many different levels of baseball into Globe Life so that everybody gets an experience with it. It really is something that we're looking forward to our relationship with them moving forward, playing pretty much every year in there.
All right, final thought here. Coach of the Year last year, won the Big 12 regular season, but I know there's the ultimate goal that's out there that still drives your team, that you reinforce on a daily basis, right?
Yeah, that was our first meeting. That Big 12 championships are awesome. They really are. But that's kind of just on our way of what our ultimate goal is, and that's to go back to Omaha. You know, you look behind us and it stops at 2017. We haven't been there since 2017. So, you know, there's certain times when you can stand up in front of a team and talk to them about, hey, what is our ultimate goal? It's to get to Omaha, Nebraska, but not just to get there and to win it. And there's certain teams that you can stand up in front of and say that to, and I felt really good about talking to this group this year about, you know, it's not about just getting there, it's about winning it. And if a Big 12 championship happens on the way, that's even better, you know. But our goal is to host a regional, host a super regional, and go to a World Series.
Our guy Jamie Plunkett visited with Murphy earlier in the week. We're going to hear that a little bit later on in the show. Give us some insight into how inspirational that story has been for your guys.
Yeah, and I think that's the other thing with the group and how cohesive they became so quickly. They were here on campus together for summer school, and then a couple days, I think the Sunday prior to him, you know, starting school, all of a sudden he's fighting for his life in the hospital. And so now you have the whole freshman class going up there on a daily basis to go see him. Our returners that didn't really know Murphy all that well, just from him just being on, I think he probably came to about 15 or 20 of our games, you know, his senior year of high school, always was around, and a boisterous personality that I think it really put a lot of things in perspective super early on and got this group together, just because you shouldn't be having to worry about an 18-year-old kid being 50-50 in terms of hanging on and you know, hanging for dear life, you know. And so it put it into perspective really fast, and I think it really bonded this group together. And you know, it's awesome to see him now. It's like nothing happened.
Yeah.
It's the craziest thing ever, you know. From a month ago until now, he's putting his weight back on, and he's throwing now, and he's playing catch, and we'll slowly but surely get him on the field and on the mound. But I mean, if you would have told me a month ago, I would have said you were crazy that he'd be how he is already. And he's dominating. He's got, I think, 5 A's in the classroom. So
I love that.
Pretty awesome kid.
I love that. Arietta and Holiday tonight in the Hall of Fame means a little something.
Absolutely. You got a Cy Young Award winner and you got a Johnny Bench Award winner. You know, and Brian lives right here on campus, and it's a big staple around Fort Worth, and obviously Jake and his history and his career, and him coming back to town. We're fired up and can't wait to see those guys. And you know, they're about to come down and talk to the team, which is going to be awesome to hear from those two, and just hear what they have to say. But I think there's not two better guys in terms of going in the Hall of Fame for TCU baseball than those two tonight. It's going to be a fun night.
It sure is. Kirk, thanks for the time here today.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to come back to Lupton Stadium a little bit later on because we are going to get a chance to visit with Murphy, with Jamie Plunkett. But first, coming up next, let's talk more about the Hall of Fame. We'll check in there after this time.
Dave's Hot Chicken is a cult favorite and now has 2 locations in Fort Worth, Bryant Irvin Road on I-20 and Berry Street at TCU. Both owned and operated by Horned Frogs. Mention the Frogs Today show and get 10% off anytime and order online at daveshotchicken.com.
The Flying T Club provides the everyday TCU fan and alum the ability to specifically support TCU student athletes. Flying T Club offers 3 levels of memberships. The Flying T Club is a nonprofit organization supporting the brand development of TCU student athletes through a series of unique event-based networking opportunities, which are exclusive to our members. These events provide a great social engagement tool for our members and student athletes alike. Follow them on Instagram at Flying T Club or online at flyingtclub.com.
Texas-based Happy Water offers the best-tasting, sugar-free kids drink ever made. Happy Water comes in 4 delicious flavors that you can find at local retailers and on Amazon. Each pouch contains 0 grams of sugar, 0 calories, and 0% juice. Head to happydrinks.com for more information and to purchase Happy Water. That's HAPIdrinks.com. Live happy. Be happy. Drink happy.
For exclusive interviews and content on TCU recruits, subscribe now at frogstoday.com. Any sport, anytime. It's your source for all things TCU. Only on frogstoday.com.
Frogs Today continues now here at Lupton Stadium. We're here today for a couple of different reasons. Murphy Brooks is going to join us a little bit later on. Jamie Plunkett had a chance to visit with him. Of course, we had the conversation with Kirk Saarloos. But first, we get to talk about a couple of former players who are headed into the Block T Association Hall of Fame. Jake Arrieta's going in. Brian Holiday's headed into there as well. Live from the Hall of Fame area at Schollmeyer Arena is John Denton, who joins us right now. And John, needless to say, you got a big class going in this year.
Yeah, Brian, it really is. You know, this 54th edition of the TCU Hall of Fame, it's crazy, the class that we've got going in. Starts off with a Cy Young Award winner, Jake Arrieta, who was an All-American here at TCU. In fact, the entire class is All-Americans, which is the way it should be. And he went on to a great career in Major League Baseball with the Cubs and several other teams. Then you've got Jason Flint, who All-American swimmer, who was undefeated in the 200 breaststroke for his entire 4-year career. I'm not sure of anybody who's ever been undefeated for 4 years in a row, but he was. And then Brian Holiday, the great catcher who led the Frogs to their first appearance in the 2010 College World Series, another All-American, will go in as well. You got the great Jack Hesselbrock, who spent 30 years in the athletic department at TCU, was TCU's first ever athletics academic coordinator, and just did a great job not only getting student athletes through school, but he also kept a lot of guys eligible throughout his career. He worked for 5 different ADs in his time. So the great Jack Hesselbrock will go in as well. Jackson Langett, who was an NCAA 800 meters champion and a 7-time All-American, he'll go in as well. And also in the track and field department, Lee Williams from the 70s, who was an All-American in the 400 and also the 4x100 relay, some of the first teams in TCU track history ever to get to the NCAA tournament. So a really, really great class going in, not to mention, last but not least, Jake Kirkpatrick, another Jake, All-American center for the Frogs Rose Bowl championship team, won the Remington Award as the best center in America. It is a class of 7 world-class Frogs, and it's going to be an interesting and fun weekend, really. It's a 3-day run, and should be a whole lot of fun, and we are sold out for the banquet on Thursday night.
Well, with the success that TCU has had athletically for the last couple of decades, John, your classes are going to be like this for several years, are they not?
Well, you're right. I mean, you start talking now about who's eligible to be in the Hall of Fame, and you go back, you've got to be out of school. Your eligibility has to have been expired 10 years. Well, you go 10 years backwards, and now we're getting into the Fiesta Bowl team, the Rose Bowl team, the first College World Series teams. You've got some track championships, some swimming championships. It is a log jam trying to get through the gate to get in the Hall of Fame. This year, Brian, we had 80 nominees who were eligible to go on the ballot. They got shrunk down to 12 finalists, and then from there, the top 6 vote getters plus the one legacy candidate got in. So that's how tight it's getting, and it's going to get more and more so because now you're going to start getting into the Peach Bowl years and some of the Big 12 championship years. It's been quite a successful run for TCU over the last 10 or 12 years, and that's reflected in these Hall of Fame classes.
Give Frog fans an idea of what they can expect tonight at the Block T Association Hall of Fame banquet.
Well, yes, as I mentioned Thursday night, the Hall of Fame banquet in the Legends Club completely sold out. We'll have more than 500 people there. This class, as you can imagine, sent ticket demand through the roof. So that kicks it off. Then there's a full day of activities on Friday, and then the big kind of tip-off or the cherry on top is Saturday at halftime of the TCU-OU game. The class will be recognized on the field in front of a capacity crowd at Amon G. Carter Stadium, and that'll top off Hall of Fame weekend. It's going to be a great, fun weekend, and we're going to honor 7 great Frogs who deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, and they will comprise our 54th class, and now 272 Frogs in the 123-year history of TCU athletics. Only 272 have made it into the Hall of Fame. It is an elite group.
All right, John Denton, thank you very much. The world's greatest party planner there, John Denton, getting ready for tonight's Block T Association Hall of Fame. Well, we're here, Williams-Riley Field, Lupton Stadium, for our show tonight on the Thursday for a very special reason. Our own Jamie Plunkett caught up with a freshman pitcher by the name of Murphy Brooks, who's been in a battle before he even stepped on the mound. Here's Jamie with Murphy right now.
Like all of his classmates, freshman Murphy Brooks was excited about getting to TCU. Brooks, a member of TCU baseball's freshman class, was ready to settle in on campus and get to work helping the Horned Frogs defend their back-to-back Big 12 titles. But instead of spending his first few days getting to know the lay of the land, Brooks was fighting a rare infection, one that almost took his life.
Had you ever heard of Lemire syndrome before?
I'd never heard of it. I mean, even some of the nurses at the hospital hadn't heard of it.
According to the National Institute of Health, Lemire syndrome is a rare and potentially severe complication of bacterial infections. It typically affects previously healthy adolescents and young adults.
Roughly 1,200 people a year in the U.S. get it. You know, hearing that news is like, ooh, you know, it's almost like cool. You know, I'm part of a population of people that there's only 1,200 people in the U.S. that get it a year. You know, but as they were explaining it, saying, you know, it's caused by this bacteria. It went rogue, spread through your whole body. And they were like, you better, you know, put your big boy pants on, you know, buckle up because you're in for a fight.
And fight it he did. Brooks spent 8 days at Harris Methodist Hospital, his parents by his side, with a constant stream of visitors making their way to see him. That included his teammates and head coach Kirk Saarloos.
I mean, Coach Saarloos, I remember him coming at least 3 or 4 times. You know, I'm a firm believer. I don't know what goes on at other programs around the country, but I don't think that you'd have a head coach sit there and sit by your side and hold your hand and you know, pray for you while you're sitting in a hospital bed. I just don't think that's very common. And you know, I'd expect nothing less from a man like Coach Saarloos.
Brooks has since returned to practice, beginning with light throwing workouts and easy weight room routines. He knows the road back to a full recovery might be long, but he's confident he can handle it well.
My arm's completely shut down right now, so it's going to be another long journey, but you know, I've been dealing with a pretty tough long journey for the last month, and I'm pretty sure that anything that's put in front of me right now isn't going to be that big of a deal. So right now I'm feeling great.
Jamie Plunkett, Frogs Today.
The good news is that long-term plan for Murphy Brooks is all good, folks. He should fully recover from this. In fact, we may see him at the purple and white scrimmage take the mound for TCU. Thank you, Jamie, for that. Still to come, let's talk a little women's golf. We'll do that when Frogs Today continues in a moment.
Say hello to the water of tomorrow. Richard's Rainwater. Richard's Rainwater is 100% rain, refreshing, renewable, and the only ingredient we use in our water. Why rain? Because everyone deserves access to clean water, and rain is a 100% renewable resource available everywhere. Drink the rain. Save the planet. Shop now at richardsrainwater.com.
Dave's Hot Chicken is a cult favorite and now has 2 locations in Fort Worth, Bryant Irvin Road on I-20 and Berry Street at TCU. Both owned and operated by Horned Frogs. Mention the Frogs Today show and get 10% off anytime. And order online at daveshotchicken.com.
For exclusive interviews and content on TCU recruits, subscribe now at frogstoday.com. Any sport, anytime. It's your source for all things TCU. Only on frogstoday.com.
Frogs Today continues here on the Thursday. We get to brag a little bit about women's golf right now. Caitlyn Macnab is with us all the way from Johannesburg, South Africa. Well, really, she's from her dorm room. Good to see you. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Good to have you back in studio with us.
Good to be here.
What a weekend. Last weekend in Norman, Oklahoma, which is a perfect setup for the football game this weekend. You can prove right there to the football team who was the best, right? Because you throw the great individual score, individual championship at the Schooner Fall Classic in Norman. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
How'd it feel?
Yeah, I mean, awesome. I had a couple top 5, top 2 finishes last season, so really exciting to get the job done at the first event.
I remember us talking the last time you were in the studio about those number 2 finishes, and you were kind of done with that, right? You're ready to get over the hump with it, right?
I mean, yeah, consistency is key, but it's nice to get a win.
Yeah. So tell me, when were you in kind of a zone? Did you know, hey, this is going to be my tournament. This is my day today. Could you tell?
I mean, I wouldn't say so. I think the team started off, a bit of a rough first round. It was the first round for the season, and we're lying 12th after the first round, and I was a couple shots back as well. I think 4 after the first round. So just try to hang in there, and I was 3 shots back heading into the final round, and I knew that I needed to put up a good score, and yeah, I've managed to string some birdies together.
Well, yeah, just a 64, which was that's an individual for you, right? Is that a new low round for you, 64? In competition?
At TCU, yeah.
At TCU it is. What have you put up before that?
A 63.
63. Okay.
But par 72.
Okay, all right. Well, that's okay. So there's more to be had out there then maybe. So you throw up the 64, which is the second lowest round in TCU history. There had to be a point during that final day where you knew you were in the groove.
Yeah, for sure. I only turned 2 under after 9 holes. Wasn't hitting it great, just wasn't really dropping some putts, and then I chipped in on the par 3 11th, and that's where kind of the momentum started building.
Yeah, 16 birdies on the weekend. Did you see Coach Angie at all out on the course at all? And give me some sense as to what was going on there in that dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, Coach is usually out there on the par 5s,
right.
Trying to give us some advice, what clubs to hit. But our assistant, CK, walked with me for the majority of the back 9 and just helped me keep a level head and choose the correct shots to hit.
I love that. So for 54 holes, you throw a 200 up, which is the lowest 54-hole number in TCU women's history. That's Angela Stanford. That's Marcy Bosarth. No, that's you. That's Caitlyn Macnab. That's pretty good company, isn't it?
It is. It is for sure.
When did you find that out, by the way?
Today.
Today?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Did Damien tell you on the ride over, your PR
No,
guy? Okay.
I saw it actually on a post.
Oh, really? You saw it on a post? So you went, oh, that's pretty good, huh? Yeah. So tell me about your family back in Johannesburg. Have they been following this? Do they know how good of a weekend it was?
Yes, they stayed up. There's a bit of a time change, 7 hours, and they stayed up super late to watch the scores, which is really nice.
I love that, yeah. So we talked about this before, and I could not remember your answer today when we were getting ready for the show. What's the one thing you miss from South Africa?
I said the food last time, and I stand by it.
But it was the steak, right? It was was that what it was, or what was it?
I mean, just in general, I think our food in South Africa has a bit more flavor.
Yeah.
I think Texas barbecue is obviously amazing.
Right.
But we definitely do have great meat in South Africa.
All right, then let's phrase the question this way. What do you love most about Texas so far?
I would say the people, honestly. Yeah. Texans are, I think, really friendly and outgoing, and they want you to do well and succeed, which is really nice.
Have your parents been yet?
My dad has,
Okay.
Yes. My mom hasn't visited campus yet.
Is she going to make it?
Hopefully.
Yes. What's the first place you're going to take her?
Maybe the Stockyards.
There you go. Good move. I like that. So give me a sense of what the schedule's like now for the next couple of weeks for you.
Yeah, well, we leave on Saturday for our next tournament in Ohio, and then it's pretty jam-packed for the fall season up until November, December. We have a bit of a break, and then spring starts in January, late January.
And then it's really on, right, in the spring. All right. Have you learned all the states yet, all 50 states?
Not yet. Haven't gone there
Next
yet.
time you're on, let's play states and capitals.
I don't think that's a good idea. I'll test you on the South African provinces.
Okay, we'll do that. We'll play that game. You ask me, I'll ask you. I'm going to study. You watch. I'm going to be good at it. Yeah. Okay. Caitlyn, thanks for coming by.
Thank you.
You're the best. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And literally the best after that great weekend for TCU women's golf. We got more to come here on Frogs Today after we take this time out.
The Flying T Club provides the everyday TCU fan and alum the ability to specifically support TCU student athletes. Flying T Club offers 3 levels of memberships. The Flying T Club is a nonprofit organization supporting the brand development of TCU student athletes through a series of unique event-based networking opportunities, which are exclusive to our members. These events provide a great social engagement tool for our members and student athletes alike. Follow them on Instagram at Flying T Club or online at flyingtclub.com. All right, back to wrap it up here on Frogs Today on the Thursday. Busy night tonight. You got the Block T Association Hall of Fame that's going to take place. Huge class going in with some great TCU stars. We'll have some highlights of that for you tomorrow. By the way, one note, did you notice the new M&M color? That's right. They're going with purple. Finally, the rest of the world knows what we know here at TCU. Volleyball is in action tonight against West Virginia. Tomorrow's show is going to be football intensive. We'll have our roundtable of experts. Former Oklahoma coach Barry Switzer is going to join us, the voice of the Sooners. Toby Rowland will give us some insight into that matchup. We got a lot we got to get into tomorrow, talking TCU football with you as the Frogs get set to take on the Sooners coming up on Saturday morning at 11 o'clock. Until tomorrow's show, have yourself a great night. Go Frogs.
Frogs Today is brought to you by the Flying T Club, supporting TCU student athletes, and by Richard's Rainwater. Say hello to the water of tomorrow. Frogs Today is a production of Roxo Media House.
Roxo Media House.